This is the story of Sri Aurobindo, a revolutionary, poet, writer, spiritual master. He not only helped free India but gave to all of humanity a new freedom, a new dharma, a new meaning to life. Lives of great men are hidden from superficial sight, yet the outward journey of such a person can inspire the inner pilgrimage of many men. Much of this story is narrated by people who knew him during his lifetime.
Aurobindo was my third son, born in Calcutta on August 15, 1872. When he was 5, I sent him to Darjeeling to study in the Loreto convent along with his 2 older brothers. I wanted my children to get the best possible education, that is, a Western education. When Oro was 7, I sent my sons to England. He was the only one to get admission in St. Paul's. Then he got a scholarship for King's College in Cambridge. Hardly 20, he was already writing excellent poetry and drama. He studied the classics and stood first in the examinations. I wanted him to join the Indian Civil Service. At that time, my wealth was dwindling. I had 2 other children, and my wife was constantly sick. I could not send money to England, and my sons faced great hardship. But I did send something else. Newspaper clippings of the atrocities committed by the British. I was getting disenchanted with them.
Sri Aurobindo joined a secret society of Indian freedom fighters in England who closely followed the events in insurgent India.
In England, I met a brilliant young man who disqualified himself on purpose in the Indian Civil Service examinations. He was one of the first few in the written test, but just did not appear for horse riding. It was the dream job of most educated Indians. But Aurobindo Ghosh did not want to serve the colonial power. I asked him to join the Baroda State Services. After 14 years in England, he returned to his motherland.
As the ship touched the soil of India, a vast peace descended upon him. His inner journey had begun. Outwardly, he taught at the Baroda College, wrote fiery articles to awaken a sleeping nation, learnt several Indian languages, and mastered Sanskrit so well that he was interpreting ancient texts such as the Vedas. In 1901, he married Mrinalini Devi.
I had no married life to speak of. I hardly saw my husband. He attended political meetings around the country, wrote in journals, donated whatever money he earned. He had moved to Calcutta from Baroda and had set up a college to spread national education. He was principal of the Bengal National College for 1 year. His writings inspired the need for self-governance, which of course went against the British. They were on the lookout to charge him for sedition. Wherever he went, spies trailed him.
Despite the many revolutionary activities, Sri Aurobindo continued his yogic practices. Starting from his Baroda days, he had several spiritual experiences. In a near fatal accident, he saw the Godhead rising above him and protecting him. In the Shankaracharya hill of Kashmir, he felt the vacant Brahman. In a Kali image, he saw the dance of the universal Shakti. He met a yogi, Vishnu Bhaskar Lele. With his guidance, in 3 days, He had established a silent mind. He described this nirvana experience in a sonnet.
All is abolished but the mute alone, the mind from thought released, the heart from grief grow inexistent now beyond belief. There is no I, no nature, known, unknown. The city, a shadow picture without tone, floats, quivers unreal. Form without relief flow, a cinema's vacant shapes, like a reef foundering in shoreless gulfs, the world is done. Only the illimitable permanent is here, a peace stupendous, featureless, still, replaces all. What once was I, in it a silent, unnamed emptiness content, either to fade in the unknowable, or thrill with the luminous seas of the infinite.
असङ्गोऽहम् असङ्गोऽहम् पुनः पुनः सच्चिदानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः नित्यशुद्धविमुक्तोऽहम् निराकारोऽहमव्ययः भूमानन्दस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः.
The Renaissance in Bengal had begun from the early 19th century with social reformers and spiritual masters. It spread across the nation, and writers and visionaries and soldiers led the popular front. Sri Aurobindo and Bipin Chandra Pal started a journal called Bande Mataram. Here, Sri Aurobindo wrote about his vision of a resurgent India. He criticized the timid approach of some Indian leaders and called for uncompromising freedom, Purna Swaraj. He also analyzed world events from a deeper perspective and placed them in the larger scheme of history.
There are periods in the history of the world when the unseen power that guides its destinies seems to be filled with a consuming passion for change and a strong impatience of the old. The Great Mother, the Adya Shakti, has resolved to take the nations into her hand and shape them anew. These are periods of rapid destruction and energetic creation, filled with the sound of cannon and the trampling of armies, the crash of great downfalls, and the turmoil of swift and violent revolutions. The world is thrown into the smelting pot and comes out in a new shape and with new features. They are periods when the wisdom of the wise is confounded and the prudence of the prudent turned into a laughing stock.
Early in the morning of May 2nd, 1908, the police raided our house and arrested Shejda. In our Maniktola property, my brother Barin and his group of revolutionaries trained to shoot guns and make bombs. They also read the Bhagavad Gita. 2 days back, an assassination attempt was carried out by the group. The police surrounded the Maniktola gardens and arrested everybody, including Barin. Throughout the following year, I raised money for the court case. We had a most able man defending them, Chittaranjan Das. In the Alipur jail, Shejda was immersed in the yoga. When he was acquitted, this is what he said to a rejoicing crowd.
I looked at the jail that secluded me from men, and it was no longer by its high walls that I was imprisoned. No, it was Vasudeva who surrounded me. I walked under the branches of the tree in front of my cell, but it was not the tree. I knew it was Vasudeva. It was Sri Krishna, whom I saw standing there and holding over me his shade. I looked at the bars of my cell, the very grating that did duty for a door, and again I saw Vasudeva. It was Narayana who was guarding and standing sentry over me. Or I lay on the coarse blankets that were given me for a couch and felt the arms of Sri Krishna around me, the arms of my friend and lover. This was the first use of the deeper vision he gave me. I looked at the prisoners in the jail, the thieves, the murderers, the swindlers, and as I looked at them, I saw Vasudeva. It was Narayana, whom I found in these darkened souls and misused bodies.
It took the best barrister in Bengal 1 year to acquit Sri Aurobindo and many of us accused in the case. But the course of his life had changed. In his vision, India's freedom was assured. Now, he would work for the freedom of humanity. Still hunted by the British, following the inner Adesh, he travelled incognito to the French colony of Pondicherry. This would be his final destination, sacred land that in ancient times had housed Rishi Agastya's ashram.
The early days in Pondicherry were hard. For months we lived under constant watch from British spies and occasional police intrusions. Money was scarce. We lived like gypsies, used one towel, all 5 of us. Slowly people heard of Sri Aurobindo's presence in Pondicherry, poets and revolutionary leaders, and they came to drink from the fountain of knowledge. We shifted to the guest house building, joined the local football club, and even got some mean for Moonana, fish for 3 annas.
Then there was a stir in our life. In 1914, Mira Richard, a French lady of the high circles, also an accomplished spiritual seer, came to visit Sri Aurobindo. From early childhood, she had had spiritual experiences, and in a recurring vision, she met a supreme being she called Krishna. On March 29th, when she looked upon Sri Aurobindo, vast as the calm ocean, she recognized the Krishna of her vision. This is what she wrote in her diary.
It matters little that there are thousands of beings plunged in the densest ignorance. He whom we saw yesterday is on earth. His presence is enough to prove that a day will come when darkness shall be transformed into light, and thy reign shall be indeed established upon earth.
I was 17 years old when the Great War broke out. In the same year, Sri Aurobindo started the Arya magazine. I heard many say that the Arya would elucidate the secrets of the Veda and unravel many a knot, till now unloosened in the Upanishads, Itihasas, Puranas. I heard many also declare Sri Aurobindo had founded a new method of yoga for the sake of mankind and would divulge in the Arya the characteristic process of sadhana for following this method. Month after month, for 6 years, his knowledge poured out in these 64 pages. The life divine, the synthesis of yoga, the human cycle, on Vedas, Upanishads, the Gita, on poetry.
After the war, Mira settled in Pondicherry and started the ashram. Devotees from all over the world came to seek refuge at their feet. Sri Aurobindo had to show us who she really was.
The one whom we adore as the Mother is the divine conscious force that dominates all existence. All the scenes of the earth play have been like a drama, arranged and planned and staged by her, with the cosmic gods for her assistants and herself as a veiled actor. But personally, too, she has stooped to descend here into the darkness, that she may lead it to the light, into the falsehood and error, that she may convert it to the truth, into this death, that she may turn it to God-like life, into this world pain and its obstinate sorrow and suffering, that she may end it in the transforming ecstasy of her sublime Ananda. In her deep and great love for her children, she has consented to put on herself the cloak of this obscurity, condescended to bear the attacks and torturing influences of the powers of the darkness and the falsehood, born to pass through the portals of the birth that is a death, taken upon herself the pangs and sorrows and sufferings of the creation, since it seemed that thus alone could it be lifted to the light and joy and truth and eternal life. This is the great sacrifice called sometimes the sacrifice of the Purusha, but much more deeply the holocaust of Prakriti, the sacrifice of the Divine Mother.
Om Namaste Sarvadevanam
वरदासि हरिप्रिये ॐ त्रैलोक्य पूजिते देवे कमले विष्णुवल्लभे मङ्गलां शोभनां शुद्धां निष्कलां परमामकलां विश्वेश्वरी विश्वम्भविकां प्रणमाम्यहम्।
ॐ सदा पातकसंहन्त्री सद्यो दुःखविनाशिनी सुखदा मोक्षदा मीरा मीरैव परमागतिः मीरैव परमागतिः।
In the evening of November 24th, 1926, Mother called us all to meditate with Sri Aurobindo. We were then 24 of us. Mother sat on a stool and Sri Aurobindo on his green chair. It was a charged atmosphere. Something stupendous had happened. Sri Krishna, the Anandamaya, had merged with Sri Aurobindo that day. The overmind had descended into the physical.
This was the end of a chapter in the ashram's life. Sri Aurobindo withdrew in the background, and we had his darshan only on the 4 special days of the year. But he was more active than ever. He wrote hundreds of letters to his disciples, sometimes all night.
A great occult battle between the Asura and the divine had begun. On the terrestrial plane, we know it as the Second World War. Sri Aurobindo and Mother, not themselves physically in the battlefield, were in reality at the head of world movements, like Krishna in the Mahabharata. But the human instrument of the avatar had to bear the angry blow of the defeated power. The lap that upheld the earth was fractured in a fall. 6 of us doctors and strong men were given the privilege of serving our Lord's body. As Sri Aurobindo's thigh healed, many happy evenings were spent in sublime and mundane talks. We were shown the smiling grace of his Leela.
Sri Aurobindo started composing the epic poem Savitri way back in Baroda. It contains his revelation in such divine cadence that the hearer is left always wanting for more. After revising his earlier prose works, he took up Savitri and added several cantos. His grace fell on me, and I, Nirod, became his scribe, a modern Ganesh to our Vedavyas. O force-compelled, fate-driven, earth-born race, O petty adventurers in an infinite world, and prisoners of a dwarf humanity, how long will you tread the circling tracks of mind around your little self and petty things? But not for a changeless littleness were you meant, not for vain repetition were you built. Out of the immortal's substance you were made. Your actions can be swift revealing steps. Your life a changeful mold for growing gods. A seer, a strong creator is within. The immaculate grandeur broods upon your days. Almighty powers are shut in nature's cells. A greater destiny waits you in your front. This transient earthly being, if he wills, can fit his axe to a transcendent scheme.
Death for man is an end of all that is good. Not so for the avatar. When the material envelope has been spent, he puts on subtler robes and sojourns in ideal airs. After having struggled, suffered, endured so much, after having prepared, achieved all for us, Sri Aurobindo returned to nature her gift.
On a desperate stair my feet have trod, armored with boundless peace, bringing the fires of the splendor of God into the human abyss. The gulf twixt the depths and the heights is bridged, and the golden waters pour down the sapphire mountain rainbow ridged, and glimmer from shore to shore. A little more and the new life's doors shall be carved in silver light, with its aureate roof and mosaic floors, in a great world bare and bright. I shall leave my dreams in their argent air, for in a raiment of gold and blue there shall move on earth, embodied and fair, the living truth of you.